What's up? Welcome everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another live stream. How is everyone doing? Hello. All right. Another week in the market. Almost the month of January. It's almost gone. Time flies, honestly. And we have all-time highs on the S&P. We finally broke the highs. We finally continue this move to the upside, which is going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next. Especially the move was quite aggressive yesterday. Next week is going to be quite busy. We're going to start with some interest rate decisions, starting in Japan. I think we have Canada, we have Eurozone. So it's going to be, again, expect more volatility, more movements in the market. Hi, Christian. Welcome. Morning. Yeah, so this is the news basically for next week. The interest rate decision, again, as we know, Bank of Japan never really does anything. And in terms of monetary policy, they just keep everything as it is. PMI services on Wednesday, there's going to be another volatile day. Then in Canada, we have interest rate decision again. At this point, and what you are expecting is for all interest rate decisions to remain the same. Okay, so the peaks are over, right? So we completed that cycle, and now the question of, as we have been talking, is going to be when are you going to start expecting the rate cuts, right? And that has been the conversation, the topic in the market, and to see if there is alignment between what the market is expecting and what the Fed may do. ECB again 4.5%. That's the same expectation. Cristina Vargana has been talked this week a few times maybe, and basically mentioning that it's too early to any rate cut. Maybe in the summer. It's maybe something that it's going to start being discussed during these meetings, and perhaps in the summer maybe the Eurozone can aim for a rate cut. In there, we're going to have also advanced GDP in the US, and then we have core PCE in the US. It's going to be also interesting after the CPI coming out slightly higher than expected in the US. Again, we're going to have also more earnings seasons, starting with Netflix and some other, maybe with some big tech companies announcing their own earnings. And then the week after that, on the 31st, we have our first Fed meeting. This I just actually realized this morning. Yesterday it was basically since yesterday there was a big shift in here, right? So as you know, if you remember, the market have been expecting the interest rate decision for the first rate cut to happen on the 20th of March. So since we had the last meeting in December, those were the odds, okay? Literally above 50 and sometimes even at around 76. You can see, for example, 1 week ago, the probability of the odds were actually for the rate cut, or the first rate cut, to happen on the 20th of March. And this is actually the first time since then that it's actually below 50, and the odds are now for the rates to remain the same still in March. You're curious to see in here, okay, maybe the first rate cut then to happen on the 1st of May. So again, it's a little bit of a kind of a postpone of again 1 month and a half until we have our third meeting of the year. Some of the Fed members may even mention that it can maybe only happen somewhere in here, okay, maybe in June or July, somewhere in the summer, and not so early as the market has been looking at. Who knows? We'll see what's going to happen, and eventually on the 31st of January, when you have this Fed meeting, what the Fed Chair Powell is going to say, on what kind of clues is he going to mention. Again, we're going to have maybe a little bit more data to be released. At this point, we saw the unemployment remain quite tight, and the unemployment rate to stay the same at around 3.7. We saw CPI slightly higher. We saw consumer sentiment, for example, last Friday it was quite high as well. GDP, it's okay. So overall, some of the data has been good in the US, which kind of goes in favor of delaying a little bit longer the rate cuts. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. But in terms of news, that's what we have. We're going to start having the first interest rate decisions for the year next week. All right. So now let's take a look at the chart. And I'm still enjoying my morning coffee, even though it's almost 12. It's past 12 already. Yeah, so let's take a look at the market again. If you are new, feel free to subscribe. Basically, what you are doing in here is to try to look for opportunities for next week, and we are doing that together. Okay, so if you do have any level that you'd like to pay attention to, if you have any questions, any specific asset that you'd like to analyze, go ahead. We can ask. We can maybe take a look at it together. The assets that we usually take a look into it, basically FX. Okay, start always with dollar index because of how important dollar index is in correlation with everything else, and then look at the indices: S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, maybe DAX as well. And then the currency index. We look at Euro index and the Yen index, and then we look at individual currency pairs, and then we will go look at commodities as well with gold and we look at gold and oil, and then we finish with crypto and just take a look into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and maybe what we can expect in there. Hi Saurabh, how are you, man? Welcome. So dollar index again. Last week we kind of were within this range, and we finally follow through, and we fill this range in here to the upside. Okay, so we had that break to the upside in here. Okay, so that was something that we managed to see. That was the first one. This happened during the NFP on the 5th of January. And since then we're kind of looking for price to go higher. Now there was maybe two options. Okay, so since kind of we talked about it, it will be maybe to first go a little bit down before maybe filling that range to the upside, or maybe price will just carry on staying within this range and eventually go to the upside, and eventually to fill this range in here. And that's basically what happened straight away on Monday. We opened to the upside, and price is just moving upwards since then. After that we kind of ranged, like after we kind of initially filled this price in here, and we got to the buys of this level. In here we basically reacted straight away. Now there's maybe something slightly higher that price can or that dollar index can go towards to. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah. All right. Yeah, there's something. Dollar index can indeed go slightly higher. Okay, this may not be the final destination, but it closed the gap. Okay, so it's already reacting from this structure at the highs, which basically is the top of the edge of the upper edge of this big rectangle. Therefore, if by any chance you're looking for, if you're long, and that was that should have been kind of your target in there, and maybe this is a level where we can start aiming to potentially start looking for sales. Again, maybe price can still go slightly higher before that in here. Yes, we do have maybe the trend line. This maybe can help. If you do create a new low in here, it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to get closer to this and to this level. But this was something that we could have anticipated and indeed looked for opportunities in the other dollar pairs, and especially, for example, USD CAD. It was another one that we looked at which is basically, if you notice that the specific asset is trending for quite a few days, and dollar CAD at kind of a similar behavior, kind of a similar range that needed to be filled. And if you notice that and price has been trading for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days almost in a row, start showing weakness, there's a high probability that you're going to have some kind of reaction. That's a trade that you can take. Okay, maybe that's not going to be the biggest trade in terms of risk reward, but there's definitely some kind of reaction to expect. And if you do find an entry on the lower time frame, maybe that's an opportunity that you can take advantage. That's maybe a high probability a trade actually to occur. And sometimes, again, we don't really need to only to look for the, we're looking for expected value. Like index actually has maybe slightly, it has a high expected value, even if it's not with the highest risk reward. Yeah, now honestly, at this point on our index, again, bigger picture, I was looking at that this week as well, and it's a bit in the middle. Like it's not the easiest to decipher now, because again, we have been bearish since, so we have been bullish. So basically, if I decide like this, we have been bullish. When price kind of started to move upwards, we're looking for price actually to get to this extreme, to take out these highs, and then question mark it would be if price would break above this level, maybe aim to the next level, or if it kind of would respect it and start moving down. When you started breaking these lows, we start being bearish, and the bearish is what it was actually to fill all this range to downside. Why? Because everything in here has been already compressed on the way down. There was a break of lows on the way up as well, and eventually we have been aiming. If you have followed the channel for a while, you notice that we have been always aiming for price or the dollar index to get closer to these lows in here. So that's done. Price kind of fill that range, and then this most recent month or this month, especially after we broke that high, kind of start breaking this level to the upside, we start aiming for price to get closer to here. But this is now a different time frame, a different scale, right? We're looking kind of at daily, and now we're kind of looking in the at the daily, at the hourly time frame. So yeah, since we had that break to the upside, again looking for price to go upwards, again question mark is from where, and that's it. That's done as well. Okay, so in terms of spaces that we're looking for, basically this now is done in here, that one is done in there, and now this one is done in here in the lower time frame. Bigger picture, that's where the tricky situation is to see if we do want to continue to move slightly lower and maybe break new lows and continue to move to the downside, which eventually can happen, or if we don't want to, if we do want actually to maybe move a bit more to the upside. We did manage to break slightly this structure, and maybe eventually aiming towards there. Like at this point, I'm not really sure what the dollar may do in the bigger picture. This price is more in the most recent prices, they have been filled properly, so that's good. And now it's kind of still waiting to see more confirmation in here. On one side, yeah, this in here maybe, yeah, this is definitely a level that we should have anticipated some reaction from, but we already broke some of these lows in here, some of these highs in here, which may be a sign that maybe price may wants to go slightly higher before moving to downside. Yeah, so if you start breaking actually these highs in here, then maybe I'm aiming for price to go a bit higher towards that level. So yeah, it's a bit in the middle. Again, the way dollar index actually has been moving, it has ranged quite a lot, then moved a bit more, but then the ranges again, which again makes it these weird moves on the other FX pairs. So we will see what's going to happen in here. So yeah, more as price keeps evolving and maybe breaking some of the structures, then yeah, I'll be updating my own view. How many trades? I'm actually changing a little bit. I've been quite busy actually this beginning of this month. I haven't been that active trading. I'm planning to start properly and actively trading in February. But it depends. Like you can have a few trades per week. You can even maybe sometimes have 2-3 per day. It depends also how do you want to trade it, right? So basically the way I'm trying to aim to trade, I'm looking for these levels on a little bit more in a higher time frame, but at this point I'm looking at a wider portfolio. Okay, I'm following several assets, as we'll see in a bit, which means that I'm tracking a few pairs, and I'm then going to focus on the ones that I think there's a high probability of price reacting or starting to have a good move. And in terms of trades individually, like if you're about to ask me how many setup opportunities I'm looking to trade, that's maybe a little bit less. But then in terms of trading or execution, I may try a few attempts until I may get it right, or in terms of scaling into the position if I'm indeed correct, and then try to take advantage of the move that goes into my direction. Like at least up to 3 attempts I'm going to give myself to try to trade that specific setup, which can be 3 attempts, maybe one or two losses, and the third one may work, or it can be the first one starts working straight away and I start scaling into the position. But there are, like, again, if you start following maybe this week, as we go along, I'll tell you maybe what type of opportunities I've been looking for this week in here. Yeah, it's always a tricky situation. Like, it depends on the opportunities that the market is offering. I'm trying to change a little bit more into a wider portfolio, looking more for 1 hour for a time frame. I'm kind of a bit busy at this point, so that's more of what I need to kind of how I adjusted my own trading. Setting up alerts in the right moments, and then kind of following price as it evolves, looking for the confirmations to take the trades. So that's a little bit more of how I'm looking at it. Yeah. S&P. Okay, S&P. What do we have in here? We finally broke the highs. We finally broke the highs, which is something that we kind of were expecting. At least there was kind of a magnet tracking price towards there. We reacted perfectly from that level that we talked about a few weeks ago, beginning of the month or something like that. That was a target that we aimed for. Perfectly reacted, and then we move higher. Like, we did manage to break slightly that low, but I was concerned about these highs in here, to be honest. Not just the demand, which this level in here can be in the future. It's going to be quite nice to perhaps look for an opportunity to follow along. So keep in mind, or keep in mind this level. Especially we have kind of this previous structure, fake out, we have a clear demand zone, we have this low that didn't really reacted, nowhere near close to this level. So this is definitely a level that you want to pay attention to in the future. Whenever the S&P eventually retraces, that's going to be perhaps a good zone to look for a continuation to the upside in there. Just whatever. Yeah, maybe can actually throw that one in here, because this one just paused a little bit more towards something in here. Okay, again, bigger picture, it didn't react from the level, but in the lower time frame, if you maybe check something in here, you can start seeing where price actually reacted. We did manage to break kind of this trend line, so kind of that was a good indication. And then we turned again, that reaction, this one in here, it would have been a great zone to look for a potential entry. Okay, so anytime you kind of fake out these left shoulders, and it on the right side, there's always a good zone to look for a trade, especially if you do have a demand zone or kind of something that is still fresh for price to react from and go. Okay, so those levels are always worth to keep an eye on. And there you go, we continue to move higher. Now, as always, anytime we break new highs, again, all-time highs, it's always tricky because we don't really have anything on the left side to help us to see where price may bounce from. But anytime as we break new highs on new structure, there's always a piece of information, kind of a structure in here that is created before or just after the break, and at this point, kind of this is the structure that has been created in here. Okay, so we did manage to break these highs, we created this structure, price respected perfectly from this demand zone, which again could have been a good level to look for this trend continuation after we took these highs. So that was maybe one of the last great zones to look for along in here. And at this point, this is the structure. So eventually S&P is going to retrace back to this level, and what's going to happen after that, that's what it matters in here. Yeah, at this point you may have a lower time frame, maybe a little bit of this level in here, but whatever happens eventually within this level, it's going to matter to see if we do break below it, and maybe you can aim to the downside, or if price will just eventually kind of retrace and maybe bounce from it and just resume to the upside. Okay, so again, you identify your structure at the level that actually was created after the break of the high. That's somewhere in here, not really much. Again, we have this level as well. This is kind of the first one created after that. So that level in here can matter as well. Price actually can just react in here and go higher. And at this point, we definitely have this direction here that we need to follow. Okay, so if price does break below this level, high probability that can go all the way to test this one or a little bit more in here, and then we may continue to move higher. So again, credit or it's a unique situation. Anytime it's all-time highs, it's a different situation. You need to wait in a different way. You never know when price can just fall completely, and on the other side, when it just wants to continue to the upside. In terms of reversals, it's kind of a little bit of usually I tend to look for. I'm not going to be looking at anything at this point until I start noticing which is some lows being broken and some fake outs or double tops being created for the price to actually fake out those double tops. So yeah, but till then, S&P is just something to keep following. Nothing really much in here. This is NASDAQ. Again, NASDAQ just continued. Yeah, good reaction from there. It respected that structure. We talked about that as well. In this case, kept respecting this level. Respect perfectly the trend line as well in here with this touch, and then kind of continue to the upside. And the structure is kind of the same one in here. So after the break, it's kind of looking for price to maybe get somewhere in here. Yesterday, I was looking for price to go a bit lower to look for the trend continuation. Price just paused somewhere in here. I kind of noticed there's maybe a little bit of a fresh level within this demand zone on the real time frame, and price didn't retrace as much. You kind of pause in there during the market open. So we'll see in the future. And now kind of we have maybe this structure here, and then kind of we have this wall as well in here. That's kind of the next barrier in here. Again, not really much to talk about this. If you are long, perfect. If you did manage to find some long opportunities, yeah, just maybe keep trailing your stop loss until you kind of eventually maybe get stopped out. Yeah, who knows where this NASDAQ and S&P and so on goes, right? But to close the week as strong as this, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the way it's going to open on Monday. If it's going to follow, it's going to be a complete sell-off from here. It's going to be interesting to see. And the Dow was one that we also looked at. So we've been looking for price to fill this range. This was kind of didn't really get that closer to the lows, so to the lower edge of this range, and it finally happened in here, and price decided to keep respecting this level and now moving to the upside. We also mentioned that there was a lot of highs being created already around here, so you can eventually take out this liquidity. That's something that we were anticipating. My favorite level or price movement that I would have liked to see, if price had broken these lows somehow, distraction, and then kind of we could fake out and then kind of continue. I like to have a little bit of that pattern of kind of price moving, break it, kind of goes upwards, and then eventually moves lower, right? But I wanted to see this one being breaking the lows, which didn't really happen. Okay, at least if you consider these ones, it didn't really happen. It kind of broke a little bit those lows, but the overall range was this one, and never really happened, breaking to the downside. So again, still cautious with any sells. Maybe again the possibility can be continue to look for longs in here. Yeah, until something changes. Again, if by any chance price does break and come back inside kind of this range, maybe then you can once again just trade maybe towards this level. It's basically maybe the next target, one of the targets in here at the low, somewhere in here, and you'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens next. Yeah, we'll see. Just interesting to see how price may open on Monday, to see if there's momentum or not. There's going to be quite a lot of earnings being announced next week as well. So yeah, just volatility is going to just continue. And then we have DAX as well. DAX respected. Yeah, we kind of predicted, I think 1 week ago, we kind of predicted this KM zone exactly during the stream. looking for an opportunity to look for shorts in there, and that's kind of how price where price reacted on Monday, and price kind of dropped straight away after that. For example, this could have been one of those setups to trade. There you go. We have a clear level on the higher time frame. We have price compressing or kind of going higher. We have liquidity being created in there, and then we have the pattern in the lower time frame to try to look for the entry, and you have it in here. So this could have been, again, one trade to take on the DAX. Between all these moves, this could have been one of those. You start having a price pausing exactly just underneath the KM, and then you have the confirmation in here with the break of this low in there, and you can have your trade somewhere in here. You can then look for that short target. To be honest, everything in here is compressed. You can look for a first target somewhere in there. And since we are actually already had broken the lows, you could even maybe look for something farther down as well. So yeah, that would have been again, yeah, somewhere in here. So that could have been one of the trades to look for. Again, it's something visible on 1 hour time frame, 4 hour time frame, 1 hour time frame, but then you go into the lower time frame when actually price gets there to look for that confirmation in here. After that, price, yeah, it reacted from the demand straight away after the kind of below that level. Again, it's a zone visible maybe on 1 hour and so on. On the higher time frame, is not really something that stands out to me. We do have a little bit of previous structure in there, kind of where price reacted from. But this can maybe still be seen as an engulf down, and eventually price can actually maybe continue to move to the downside. Now, in terms of the levels, yes, this is definitely still as a good level to maybe to look where price actually reacted from. That's kind of one of those. Below that, there's maybe something here, and price already touched it, but then this has been compressed, and then you can actually aim for price to go below there. Okay, so that would be maybe 2-3 levels to pay attention. Yeah, one of these in here, price does break below that level. I'm not sure if there's anything in here that is still fresh, but then everything is compressed, not expecting anything in here, and they're looking for price to then go below that. But for now, we kind of need to kind of resume the move down. We had a little bit of a gap, price respecting that level. You can still go higher, and who knows if price by any chance wants to get even somewhere in here. Or if in here, actually at the highs, there's still maybe an opportunity, since price is right from the lows, but maybe that level is still fresh. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen now on the DAX. Yeah, but that one could have been one of those to look for. Then looking at that's it for the indices, which is going to be interesting to see if we're going to continue to move upwards on US indices, and then DAX if it's going to. Yeah, we have this range at this point basically. We'll see how price may react from here. Next, Euro index. All right, Euro index. So this is what we have. Okay, so we are within this range again. Personally, again, as I mentioned, I would have loved to see price fake out this double low before moving higher. This breaking here to the upside, maybe it's already an indication that price was intentionally trying to go higher. We did manage to break this trend line now, even though double confirmed the move to the upside. I kind of need this size to be broken one more time, and yeah. Yeah, that one never really happened. Maybe this was enough to collect liquidity, and price still managed to respect that low. We'll see what's going to happen in here, and if Euro index is going to respect something at this highs and move lower, or it's just slowly going to move to the upside, which then can maybe take us into maybe back to this level in here. So yeah, we'll see. It's compressing quite a little bit, but it's still not really managing to break any lows, and it's actually just breaking highs. So we'll see if there's anything in here that can hold price or not. Yeah, there's that extreme in there. Yeah, we'll see. yeah, it's another one. Kind of similar to the dollar, kind of been just in a range. Euro index as well. Again, we're going to have ECB this week, so expect some volatility. It's going to be interesting to see where Euro index is going to be by Wednesday night, Thursday in the morning, to predict the move on for the ECB. Okay, so yeah, pay attention to this pair this week before the ECB, because usually you can get great clues as well on overall direction on the euro pairs by following this pair. So yeah, let's see if by then we have broken the highs, if we kind of at close to the lows. Let's see where we're going to be by then. And then the yen index is going to be one of my favorites, and we are going to have actually the interest rate decision on Tuesday. Okay, so this a little bit kind of different, more directional comparing with the dollar, and we have been looking for this one to, yeah, we've been looking for opportunities in here. Again, everything played out and accordingly to what we have been looking at in the bigger picture. Okay, since basically price has been moving down, we mentioned there is a start to see a lot of compression, eventually broke. 1 second to remove this. Eventually this clue in here, we talked about it. This was a great confirmation to look to the upside. That's a good question. Like, to be honest with you, I don't really look at that. Like, I've never really studied that concept that much. Just from what I see, I think when you're talking about premium or discount, it's maybe if it is, I don't know, if you want to sell it at least above the 50% Fibonacci, whatever. If you want to divide the full range in the middle, right? Try to sell it somewhere in here. And if you're about to buy something in here, right? I think that's maybe the concept. I don't really follow that. I haven't really studied that. I'm not really sure exactly how to answer it. But if that's the concept, again, I look for extremes, so I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Yeah, the yen index, it broke in here to the. It broke in here to the upside, so that was something that we saw it, like it was for a fraction of a pip. It's enough. It's a perfect type of engulf activity to like to look at, and then it fake out this low, which is again something that we look at. However, it never really reacted from the extreme in here, which makes it a great level to look for a long. Whenever price now comes back to it. Okay, so this level, which can be a great level to look for opportunity for a long. Now the tricky situation is we don't really know again where this is reacting on the left side. So again, we don't know if this is a good low or not, or if price does want to create a new low. So that's the only situation. If by any chance this low was reacting from already good level, I would be 100% looking for longs as well as around this level. Meanwhile, there is other levels that we can still anticipate price to react from. In this case, this was one of them this week, and that's exactly kind of what we were looking. Then on the other yen pairs, okay, there was literally breaking here. There was a gap to be filled, and that's where we were looking for the yen pairs to, in this case, yen index, and then yen pairs on the opposite side to react from. In here, I'm not really sure if there is. For some reason, I have this rectangle. Not really sure if there is still a little bit of a gap that price eventually could fill a little bit down, or then eventually just takes us into the other level that I mentioned. That looks like it's really good to look for a potential long now that price may fill all this level in here. On the other side, what we have is that we have this continuous move to the downside on the yen. Again, we had this break, we had already that break, so we were looking for the shorts, and price now is getting closer to the target. Okay, price is literally filling this range, and we are looking at the yen index now moving in a zone 3 type of a move. Okay, zone 3 type of a move, the way we described is kind of when it starts hopefully to compress before maybe a potential turn. Like it's when it's getting closer to the overall target, which is when it's finally reaching the target, maybe somewhere in here. Like there's a specific move that happens on the reversal, there's kind of a zone 2 type of a move in here, there's momentum, and then eventually start this compression happening in here until we get closer to the overall target that you're looking for, which is somewhere in here. And there's a specific ways that you can trade this type of a move. It's different to trade this level, it's different to trade actually the highs in there. Okay, So this is kind of what we're anticipating now, which, as you can see based on this drawing, is when price starts to move down. There's deep retracements, goes to the supply, moves down again, kind of fake out this low. So it's a bit tricky to trade double lows in here. Fakes out a bit, again deep retracement, it starts compressing like this until eventually we have maybe some kind of a finally break of a high, and then eventually we can start looking for that zone 4 of a move, which is basically the last high, like the last low in this case, kind of the reversal. So this is kind of what we're looking for now on the index to happen. Again, trend line sometimes can help as well. Price maybe respect them, which we kind of anticipate that price may respect every single supply as it's going. So collecting the order, so then eventually when it turns, it's free to move to the opposite side. If any supply is left behind, that's maybe a good level to eventually be faked out. Most recent high before price moving in here. So yeah, that's kind of what we have in here, which again, when you are trading this specific level in here, it's one of the most important things to do is about managing your expectations for your targets. That's one of the most important aspects, because you may start anticipating always for a big run or even something like this, which may not happen. Okay. Because even if you are correct and price just continues to move forward, there's a high probability that price eventually is going to have a deep retracement and may get closer to your entry level, and maybe can actually get stopped out at break even, and then price just continues to move in your direction. Okay, so this is not the moment to look for big home runs. There's maybe one last move, like strong move down, eventually to happen, but yeah, we don't really know maybe when that's going to happen. So yeah, I would kind of trade these levels a bit differently. It's a bit different if you're actually trying to trade this move. If you're trying to trade this move where there's momentum to the downside, this is where you can look for home runs in here. Yeah, so yen index. So this is one to follow. This is one to keep an eye on. Let price continue to show some weakness. Let price maybe spend another. Again, we're going to have such a big news on Tuesday, so the movement may happen quicker than expected. Otherwise, the idea would be maybe to see another 2, 3, 4 days of price kind of slowing down. Maybe on the daily time frame, as you can see, you have already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 5 bearish candles. The last one is starting to show some weakness. So that's exactly what we want to try to look for. Okay, look for weakness, wait for price actually to show exhaustion, to show you that confirmation, and then you can strike on right moment. Yeah. Thanks for the previous reply. Have you observed that in goals at lower the higher levels don't work, example? No, they do tend to happen. Like they do tend to work. Like in terms of engulfs, they may not just happen immediately as you are expecting, and that's kind of where you need to understand and have a bit more of the bigger view of maybe actually what price is doing. Like it's not just because price broke a low that like, what can I say here? Come on. It's not just because where is price? Price going upwards, pretty slow. It's not just because price kind of breaks now this low in here that this level needs to work and price is going to just fall from here, right? And that may happen like this, or it may not happen. It may not happen like that. Okay, a clue can be also where is actually this high reacting to on the left side. Like maybe this high is not even, it hasn't really reached the final destination that maybe this move to the upside wants to go towards to. Like maybe the zone is a bit more, it's a bit more in here. Maybe actually this high, and actually that tends to happen. Maybe this high just broke maybe a structure in here, and because we kind of broke that structure, it's normal to see maybe some kind of move down. Again, we still have maybe all this circle to fill. And the way to collect liquidity to then push price upwards is actually to come down, to fake out the most recent low, and then to just continue to move to the upside. This actually pattern tends to happen quite often. In specific zones, we actually tend to see this happening. Okay, again, not this level. I hope I managed to delete this. This is not what I want to show. Yep, I managed to do so. So this pattern actually tends to happen quite often, and actually the tendency is actually to go higher. More often don't actually price kind of respects this level in here and then go higher. Okay, so we kind of maybe fix out this level, goes up, retests this level and goes higher. I hope I managed to draw it correctly, and then eventually, yes, now it's getting closer to the final destination, which is that level. Okay, so sometimes when you do see engulfs happening and price not really following through the engulf that it just happened, is because most likely there is already an engulf before that, which in this case is this high that broke this structure, and this high hasn't really reached the final destination, which is maybe still there. Okay, nevertheless, the piece of information that you gather from the break of this, it's super useful for the future, because then when eventually price does turn, more often than not, this low is actually going to be the range that you want to be seeing filled, and that actually can work as your target whenever price then turns and starts maybe breaking that one of the final zones in here. Then it's kind of opens the door to fill this price in here. So this break of the low, it actually matters as well. So keep track of it, use it in the right way. That's basically what I want to say. Okay, and even if by any chance you're looking for that short in here and if you get stopped out, still keep an eye on that one. That one can still be super useful, especially as a target whenever then price actually turns in there. So yeah, that's basically a little bit of what I wanted to mention in here. Yeah, let's just do it the rest. Done. All right, so yeah, yen index is definitely something to keep an eye on. And as price gets maybe a bit more closer in here, just show it some weakness, for example, something beautifully that could happen. Again, you haven't really broken the high, so we need eventually a break of a high. But eventually we would love to see maybe a double top being created, price just showing a bit more of strength, then kind of coming back to the downside again, and then eventually breaking a bit more with momentum and then going. Like again, the yen index does love trend lines, does love to move like this, as you can see. It's something that it likes to do. So yeah, just keep following it, and eventually you're going to get that opportunity. Then of course you need to look at euro yen, dollar yen, pound yen, maybe Aussie yen, whatever yen pairs you like to trade. Just take advantage of that in there. So yeah, moving along. All right, individual currency pairs now. Sorab, did you understand what I mentioned in terms of the engulfs? That's a good question now, is in terms of the engulfs, right? For example, just look at this euro dollar. It's a bit different. It doesn't really play out everything as it should, but look. I wish I could. Can I do it though? I wish I could have brought this. I wish I could have brought the example that I draw back into the chart. Second, this is kind of an example of what I wanted to mention. Like, you do have this range, which is created with this low to the upside, and then you kind of break some structure. In this case, it's not exactly the break of a structure, as clear as that, but more often than not, this one actually maybe breaks something in here that is relevant, and then it goes down, right? And then what it does is actually goes and breaks this level. Yeah, this is actually not exactly maybe the best example, because actually after price broke this one, actually filled this range in here. Yeah, forgot about it. But this is usually when you're going to find the example that I just showed. It's a bit in the middle, when actually price breaks one of the last important structures, then it's just waiting to make that last push, and usually it's going to look for that low that created that move to the upside, and that's going to be the low that's going to be faked out, and then price doesn't really need to fill out the range in here, just going to kind of find its way to bounce back and continue to move higher, to follow the original engulf. But yeah, that's kind of what we see in here. All right, so euro. What we have, okay, so we have a continuation, like similar to the dollar. We have a continuation. Opposite to the dollar is that the dollar already reacted from the base of this level, right? So the dollar has already reacted, at least kind of reacted from at least touch kind of this point in here, again to the opposite side, right in there. And the euro hasn't really managed to do so. Like euro is still kind of some gap in here to fill, which in this particular case looks like I'll prefer then the euro to make a bit more of a move to downside, which then takes the dollar a bit more to the upside. So I would like to see that happening. We do have this structure in here that can damn it. I just realized that you are not seeing my drawing. 1 second. I don't think you can see it. Used differently. All right. So what I mean is euro hasn't really reacted from this high. Okay. So I'm looking eventually for the euro to hopefully fill this level. We actually have a double low in here, which can be quite attractive. We do have this structure in here that can also work maybe nicely as a short, or maybe that supply level. So with that being said, yeah, I'm looking maybe for the euro to move a bit more to downside, while the dollar maybe can go slightly higher until at least we get closer to this level. And after that, we will see. We will see where we're going to be on euro dollar by Thursday when you have the ECB, and based on that, then we're going to look for the opportunities, either again long, short. Again, if the euro by any chance fills out this range by Thursday and it starts breaking some highs, maybe then we have the move upwards. Again, this low hasn't really reacted from the base of this level, which means that maybe can also even fake out this low before moving higher. This high reacted from a good level in here, but he hasn't really maybe filled this total range. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And maybe when I mentioned before that I'm a bit unsure about the overall direction, the bigger picture on the dollar, I may actually look more for sells in here on the euro. I'm not the biggest fan of where actually this will reacted from in here, and I could see price eventually filling this range. So yeah, maybe building up in some sells in the future or in the long term. That could play out quite nicely. Again, we need to see where this high actually reacted from on the left side, which is not a bad one, not a bad one. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, when it's extremes, like so. Extremes is trying to find out, like when you're drawing these rectangles, right, to trade the extremes. Right, is whenever you're trying to define rectangle that you of space that price may wants to fill, that's kind of where I like to trade. However, this is dynamic, okay, because again, if price is moving down like this, kind of gets to this level, then maybe a second. The price is moving down, maybe it creates this specific high in here and then kind of moves down in here, kind of reaches the level, and you are here, right? So yeah, maybe trading somewhere in here, somewhere in here. However, as soon as you break this high, which is basically separation between the upside and the downside, and as soon as I break that high, and for example, if there is a specific low in here that now it's broken, this can actually become a new rectangle in here. So, which means that this may become now a new extreme, or maybe to actually look for a short towards there, as long as maybe a broken, maybe something in here. Like, again, I hope I managed to understand this. Right, so again, the dynamic of these rectangles in here, or where do you see space available, that can continue to be dynamic. Okay, so for example, we do have this bigger one, but then you may have smaller ones being created in here. I can again try to identify where maybe that part is in there, right? Again, this is one of the extremes, this is another extreme, but then it's maybe something else in between in there. And then it's about managing your expectations of what kind of targets you're looking for in between and both levels in here. And even though I noticed this one broke to the upside, so I'm expecting price to go higher in the short time frame, maybe I could be looking for a short, which is basically what we'll talk about on dollar index in there. This move to downside never really happened on our dollar index. Prices continue to fill this range in here, in there, right? So yeah, extremes. Whenever you find the rectangles, to trade the extreme of those rectangles. Everything in between, just it's noise. Let price make the noise, and let everyone get tired trading the noise in the middle, and I'll wait for price to get there. It requires patience. Again, if that's why maybe looking for more pairs can help. That's maybe different variables in place. So yeah, euro. Yeah, maybe from here, maybe continuation until price may get a bit more closer to here. Yeah, that could be a scenario. Again, maybe even in here above this double top that was created, that can eventually attract as well price to go there. Yeah. Yeah, euro. Pound. So pound, again, for example, extremes, right? We've been waiting for price to get closer to here, to fake out all this structure, and that kind of eventually happened, and price filled the range, which was kind of this level in here, and we now may have opened the door to go slightly lower, since we actually finally broke this these walls, right? That was something that we've been looking for a while. I kind of mentioned that that's what I had liked to see. This was creating it, and now this one finally created. So it broke this structure. So I see this one as kind of an engulf to the downside. Price hasn't really kind of filled the next maybe level in here. Meanwhile, again, we have a move upwards. This could be one of the levels to expect maybe some reaction to push down, and then can even go slightly higher in there. Price got really close. I don't think he actually touched in there. Got really close in there, so we'll see. But it's basically now a little bit of the level. So again, maybe looking for more sales. But again, this is where then the dynamic of the bigger picture, it's a bit tricky, because I'm not even the biggest fan of whatever happened. Like, I like the level itself, but I'm not the biggest fan that that's enough of a zone to maybe push price all the way down, which means that maybe price still wants to go higher before making that move down. And this may be just a middle range that we are trading it in the bigger picture. Where are we? So yeah, yeah, definitely. Personally, pound dollar hasn't been the most interesting pair to trade. Yes, it reacted from what kind of we're looking for after this compression and fulfilled this range. That's done. That's basically the only setup that we looked for, and that was it. At this point, it's just waiting again, maybe for price to get maybe closer to that level again. If you do have some PA, maybe to trade it. Otherwise, I'm not really bothered that much with the pound dollar. I think there is actually other pound pairs more interesting to trade than pound dollar at this point, based on where price is in here. So again, maybe in there, something in here still in the middle could push price down. Maybe can happen. Again, this for me is a bit more of an engulf down. If price does want to fake out the highs still first, eventually 100% this level is going to be attracted, and that can work as a target in the future. So yeah, which we're just waiting to see how price may eventually get closer to there. Euro pound, there you go. It's another one in terms of the extremes. We're looking for price to get closer to this low, eventually to start looking for a long. Price has respected the highs of this time. This is actually the first time we finally managed to break a high. Even without these highs, Denver broke that one. This line in here kept being respected as well every single time, and this is actually the first time. Now, in terms of the euro pound, there's even a slightly bigger zone in here. So this is actually one of my favorites to potentially look for a long in here. Okay, so that will be one of those. And then kind of in here, the extreme of the extreme can also be quite interesting to look for. Nevertheless, in the closer structure, there's maybe something in here, and then there's maybe something in here. Okay, so again, I'm not going to discard those two other scenarios that we maybe can back out these lows into something in here before pushing higher. This is one of those that I'm going to also keep an eye on. I like the compression. Again, price initially filled this compression here. I like the way price is moving, and eventually when you do have that move upwards, can be an interesting trade to take on the euro pound. So it's another one it's maybe worth to keep an eye on. Again, all this move down has taken one full month to happen. Okay, this is basically end of December So for a full month, euro pound has been moving lower in this kind of ranging way. So yeah, we may have that that turn again. ECB on Thursday can help maybe to see some momentum in here. Also maybe the PMI manufacturing services on Wednesday. We'll see. That's something to keep an eye on the euro pound. Aussie dollar. There you go. Extremes. We have one. We have another one. We have one. We had another one, which is another one in there, right? So the dynamic of this. So this is what we had. So price filled the range, filled the target. This was the target for these sells when you start moving lower. Again, there's literally a gap in here. We noticed last week, we mentioned this is an engulf down. Price wants to go lower and kind of eventually did so. Again, to range in here and it moved downside. Now we actually managed to break below this low, which is a bit tricky, okay? Price actually respected maybe that one. That one. This can actually be seen as an engulf down. That's kind of how I'm taking it, or yeah, looking at that break. But meanwhile, price can actually go higher again. When you do break an important range structure, that's actually a good opportunity to look for a retracement before maybe price follows through with the engulf in there. Now we do have this structure, and then you have the highs in here as a level that maybe can work. But overall, to be honest, that's kind of not the clearest one, because it's an important level of support resistance in here, which can be a bit tricky to look for. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to consider it as an engulf down. But on the other side, if you start getting closer to here, there's already a triple top in here, which I wouldn't be surprised if to actually maybe have some kind of fake out before moving higher, before moving down, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's keeping an eye on the Aussie. Again, Euro Aussie, this is incredible. Again, this was created with unemployment news. If you guys still don't believe in liquidity, kind of collecting liquidity or liquidity grab or whatever name you want to give it to it, it's just incredible. Like we have this range, literally just a spike during the news, go up, down. It reacts perfectly from the supply that haven't really been reacted from these highs, and it moves down since then. It's incredible what this Euro Aussie just did with the news. And now we are back at this level, got closer to that extreme of this compression, which is one of the last things that was still fresh in there. Supplies, price reacted from it in there. Yeah, exactly. Like it's dynamic of the scale. So like in the different time frames, and I'm just reading your comment. So a range will be a range in a higher scale, but it will be having a lot of opportunities on the lower scale. Yeah, up to right, the extreme becomes again the dynamic there. Yeah, it's exactly that. Like it's, and that's the dynamic of the market in here. Always having consideration the bigger scale. That's my piece of advice, because eventually that's the direction that price wants to follow. However, in our time frame, there are different type of opportunities to look for in here. So yeah, interesting enough. Again, this Euro Aussie, it was kind of just funny the way it just spiked during the news to go collect that exactly into the pressure point, and came back straight away into the range, respected the upper edge of the range, and it's moving down since then, and it's getting a bit closer to this maybe first target in here, which is basically composed with this within this structure. So yeah, we'll see. Again, I still maybe like this level. Eventually prices want to go there. That can be interesting. So we'll see on the Euro Aussie. This was something that we also looked for, potential turn, trend line, which perhaps could still go a little bit lower. Yeah, we'll see. And then we have Pound Aussie, maybe again, it's one of those pound pairs that actually provided a better opportunity. Again, as you can see, Pound Dollar has been just doing this. 1 second, it's been doing this for the last month, and maybe a bit down, and then kind of more of this. That's kind of what it is. And yeah, good luck trading that. When we do have other pound pairs that actually are making a little bit more of bigger momentum moves, more opportunities. Again, we're going to look at pound CAD as well in a bit. Again, this provides a much better opportunities, at least for me, in this scenario. So yeah, you pick and choose what kind of opportunities you want to trade. That's a little bit of the, I think maybe I talked about that last week, of the problems of someone that is just trading one asset, right? If you do find that asset being in a range for a specific, like for a 1 week or 10 days, which is maybe something completely different from what you like to trade and your edge, yeah, good luck trading that. Like, as someone said, I think maybe it was Mike Bellafiore from SMB, kind of, you are as good as a trader as the asset that you actually trade, or the opportunities that you trade. So I do believe that as well. And that's where stocks of action or picking the assets that you want to trade, it matters as well. Find the opportunities that are there. So this is pound Aussie. Again, clean, fake out the highs, react from the next structure. There's a liquidity gap in here, and it just moved to the downside. Okay, so again, it starts correcting, it starts maybe taking some of these lows, ranging again, that fake out with the news, and then the move to the downside, at least to feel kind of next structure in there. So it was a good opportunity on the pound Aussie. Again, typical, take the highs, go into the next structure, and again, this for me is still kind of an engulf upwards, in the sense that maybe price does want to continue to move higher in here, but meanwhile can actually go down first before making that continuation to the upside. Yeah, and let's see how price reacts from here. And this is a little bit of what I mentioned before in terms of the S&P. And I mentioned that anytime you do break important highs, then eventually do have a structure, and that structure is going to matter to see if you do break below it, then there's a chance of some kind of retracement. And if it keeps being respected, then most likely expect a bit more of a continuation in there right now. But in this particular scenario, what I also mentioned is that S&P, it's all-time highs. You have no clue where price is reacting on the left side, while in this case, you do know where price is reacting on the left side, and it does make sense for price actually to bounce from there. So again, that's the main difference, and something that you need to take into consideration, for example, when looking at the indices and all-time highs. What about looking at trades on the word scale, backed up to the higher scale or the flow? That will be more probability, right? Compared to 100%. Like again, we are talking about then looking. If you have an extreme, like we take actually maybe not this one, the pound yen. It would actually, this is a good example, right? We have an extreme. Like we think we can agree on this range. Okay. Which this is basically the wall that created all this move to the upside. Maybe you have a little bit this one in the middle, but yeah, overall, actually, again, this is perfect. It's a pity that this one didn't break it, because usually this one actually would have broken this level, and then this is exactly what I mentioned before. Unfortunately, this one didn't break the wall. They all tend to break the wall, because then you have this range. And this is what I mentioned, like before then continue to follow through, what will happen is the price, actually just study this chart, is that price would go back upward, would retrace to the upside, would fake out, again what I mentioned, in this case the high that managed to break this low, would fake out that level without filling the range, and then you continue to move lower. And what I mentioned before is that actually this engulf upwards, that price didn't really follow through in terms of reaching the next level. It still respected it, as you can see in here, and again it still respected it. There was still a trade maybe to take from here, but it never really kind of closed the gap, right, that was created. And more often than not, then eventually when we do turn, that level, it's perfect to look for a target. That's exactly what I mentioned before. Just go watch what I mentioned maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. Do your own drawing. It's exactly what I mentioned. And why price, it kind of would still continue to go there. Again, the range in this case is still all the way here that you wanted to fill. So again, based on your question, yep, it's a higher time frame scale in here. This is an extreme, it's a perfect extreme. It's kind of actually a KM zone with a fresh demand in here. It's actually perfect, to be honest. The level, this one here never really got close to that. It's a perfect demand zone. It's in alignment with this structure, and it's in alignment to that one. It's in alignment with the one on the left. So we go left in here, and now we are looking into the war time frame of this bigger picture. It's basically a daily level. This was back in June 2023. Now it reacted from it 6 months later, just at the end of last year. And there you go. Now you can look into here, into the war time frame. What are you looking at to perhaps look for an opportunity? Start breaking some highs, breaking something like this, and start looking for maybe some dynamic in here within this structure, how to trade, how to look for that opportunity, maybe then a continuation there, like how could you have traded in here. And now you combine bigger picture, world picture, and yeah, can maybe look for that one, can maybe look for even a war time frame. Trading in here, kind of respected, have this price in here to pick out, goes up, down, so somewhere in here could be in work nicely, that demand zone, and so on and so forth. Right, and again, war time frame, maybe this could be one target that you aim for. Yeah, you combine basically all of it, and that's what you can then start categorizing between what is a plus setup, what it is just a A setup, a B setup. When maybe you want to actually look for higher targets, just lower targets, like managing expectations, and so on and so forth. So that's a little bit of what you need to do. But yeah, that would be the ideal scenario. Higher scale environment with the worst scale, or kind of worst scale environment to the higher scale at the extreme. Yeah, just take the trade in there. So yeah, pound Aussie, really good. And let's see how price may react now from around this structure. Otherwise, we may continue to go slightly lower. Yen pairs. All right, so there you go. This is another example. Yen pairs. How's the yen? Okay, so we do kind of have this extreme, this range, and the price reacted from that one. But overall, bigger picture, I'm looking for price to actually fake out this level in here. So I have a double top in there, something in there, and I'm looking for price maybe to get closer to this zone in here. Okay, again, the compression is amazing. Price is literally fighting it a lot. There's maybe something in here that price could still react from, but I'm literally looking for price to fake out this level. And after that, you may have a little bit of a turn, and eventually we may go and fill all this in here. Okay, now I'm going to be looking for price to first take the highs before making that move. And when that happens, then yeah, looking for one of those potentially big trades to look for. Right, so that's just something to bear in mind on this Aussie yen. Yeah, just pay attention to it. It's starting to look good. Let it go up a little bit more. Let it compress. Let it show super weak before maybe making an impulse move to the upside. Okay, and for example, Tuesday could be like one of those days where price just literally goes up aggressively and then my turn. Dollar yen, getting closer to that 150 mark again. Corrected out of this. Again, we talked about it, like in here, how this compression to the downside didn't really look that nice for price to hold it and move down. I've been mentioning that basically since these highs all the way down, everything looked compressed. It's basically where we could have drawn some kind of trend line, and price reacted nicely from there. Second. So yeah, now it's getting a bit closer again, starts to show a bit of weakness, still needs to break lows to start showing some kind of reversal, kind of already reacted from that level. So eventually we can maybe take the highs one more time, getting a bit more closer to here, or eventually to the extreme. Again, don't forget that we have this double top, which is going to be always tricky. But in the time frame, maybe there's something somewhere in there that we could look for a trade. In here, in alignment to this level. Yeah, still respecting it. So again, let it show, maybe can retrace a little bit, can maybe react from something in here, maybe respect this trend line, go up a little bit more until it shows a bit more weakness for then the turn to happen. Bigger picture, what are we looking at in here? Yeah, that 1 day time frame, weekly, yeah, kind of goes in alignment to that one as well. Monthly, yeah, monthly there's nothing. Yeah, so can go maybe a bit more to the upside. Before turning euro yen, it's kind of a similar one. Hopefully it's going to start to see some kind of zone 3 type of a move being created in here. So again, compression eventually to be created. Again, bigger picture on the euro yen. I could still see a little bit more to the upside. Okay, so if we do fake out the high, I wouldn't be 100% surprised with that, since price hasn't really reacted from the zone above it, kind of paused a little bit below that. We actually managed to fake out this low, which is perfect. So we could actually fake out the high just one more time before making another attempt to go lower. Nevertheless, in here, price reacting a little bit from this level. There's maybe something in there on the 1 time frame. Overall, maybe can still go slightly higher. There's still orders in here at these highs, so that's something to bear in mind. Yeah, again, we need to see lows being broken. So as long as the lows are not broken, we just keep going like this. So yeah, that's exactly what we have at this point on the euro yen. So maybe a little bit more is similar to the yen index. If it continues to move a bit more to the downside, showing a bit more weakness, then eventually you can have the turn. These yen pairs, they're kind of doing something similar, but the opposite side, kind of going higher, and eventually you can see that that weakness being played in there. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Try to see the weakness in here. Definitely next week is going to be a good one to follow. Pound yen just took the highs. Again, pound yen, again, it's a great example on the bigger scale of what you're looking for and the opportunity to go long from here. And then kind of again fill the range. A bigger picture on pound yen, as you mentioned, we had this double top in here, and we are looking for price. Actually, this high was taken as well. They're looking for price maybe to get a bit more closer towards in here. Okay, so again, not exactly surprised on the move upwards. And again, if we count the highs, we move down, we are respecting this level at this point, also trend line. So again, as long as price kind of keep respecting this level, maybe more room to the upside. Again, this is an angle upwards, so it's definitely more room to the upside. Question mark is if it's going to be from here, or price may wants to go maybe a bit lower first before aiming to go and continue this bullish move in here. That's kind of the question in there. So we'll see. At this point, you respect the demand zone in there. So it's another one to keep an eye on in there. And then we go into CAD. So dollar CAD, this was again the one example that I showed similar to the dollar index. We have been bullish. We had broken those highs. We have been ranging like this. And we talked about it of a potential sell opportunity on the dollar CAD on Wednesday, and that's exactly kind of what happened. We're looking at the base of this level, and they're looking kind of a bit more at the extreme. This was a daily level, a daily and weekly kind of level in here. And after price has been kind of bullish for so many days in a row, and since the beginning of the week, basically, we printed only two kind of bearish candles in here, kind of more of a dodges, and all the rest has been just bullish candles. And the way price was showing weakness, creating double tops already, it was yeah, the clue was there that we're expecting some retracement. And that's again where you want to look for those high probability setups. It's exactly let price show weakness, let price be exhausted. Again, you don't really need an RSI indicator to show you if price is overbought or oversold. You can actually just pay attention how many times price has been kind of moving just in one direction, what kind of behavior price is showing on a daily basis. Kind of, is it weak, is it momentum, is it kind of compressing a lot, starting to respect some kind of creating some double tops in there, and where actually price, what level is actually price kind of approaching also on the left side. Okay, so that's something to look at. And then you had the turn. Okay, so we had kind of the turn, price started breaking some lows, and you had the turn, and now we're looking for this mid-range to be filled in here. Again, there's still maybe the possibility of price getting closer to that level in there as well, okay, which is a bit more of the extreme of the level. This is the base, this is kind of a bit of the supply. So yeah, eventually in there can also still work out, but for now kind of looking for price to maybe get closer to this level in here before maybe continue to move higher on the dollar cut. So again, this kind of another one that we could have looked for in here. Again, even in the bigger picture, again, if you remember, I've been bearish all this time. I wanted to see dollar cut to fill this range, and after that, kind of good reaction from it, and now it's kind of in the middle. So yeah, it's been played out quite nicely, to be honest. In here, Euro CAD, for example, it's a pair that I'm not even looking at it. I couldn't care less what these guys are doing. Okay, and the last time I actually looked for a trade on the dollar CAD, which I actually predicted on the stream as well, it was this one. It was this move, from this move to downside, upwards and move down. That was all I predicted in here. Everything in here is just, yeah, it's just still within the same range. I couldn't care less what's going on in here. I'm looking for price eventually to move away to one side or the other, and when that happens, then I'll start looking for more opportunities in there. Pound CAD, another, it's a different story from the Euro CAD. It's actually something that we have been looking for. Okay, so we're looking for the Pound CAD to get closer to that level. Okay, so getting a bit more closer to that level, maybe taking this size. At this point, it respected the supply. So it picked out the high, respected supply, it actually respected straight away that level. So that could have been a good short. Again, in terms of rectangles and scales and so on. Yeah, we have the rectangle, but then we have this level in here, which is broken, right? This is basically the base that is still holding this, or separating this middle range, the bigger rectangle, that's the middle zone. And it's broken to downside, and then kind of opens the door to the downside in a smaller time frame, respected, and it filled the range. There you go. So there was a trade in here on lower time frame at this point. Let's see now how price reacts from this demand zone. I'm still looking for price of yeah, I still want kind of this pound CAD to go slightly higher before making a potential move down. I do like the compression. Compression looks nice. Eventually for the big turn. Yeah, we do have the supply left in here. Yeah, I'm looking for price more to get closer, and then maybe can have all the move towards here. And again, all this is compressed. Maybe something in here in between. But this one is already kind of a break of a low, which kind of makes it weaker, and price actually then can go all the way to the extreme in here whenever price turns in there, which then actually takes us into maybe even a bigger scale in there. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This one reacted nicely from that zone in the middle. Yeah, let's see how price may react from there in here. Yeah, pound CAD can be a good one. Dollar franc Swiss, that's another one. That's another one that we have been looking, and that price show some weakness, a bit more weakness in here. Okay, so it's another one that we kind of went upwards, fake out slightly the low, and then kind of moved upwards in here, and are looking for price to get closer to this range, in particular to go maybe above this level, and maybe have a little bit of a reaction from here. If not, if prices want to continue, then I'm looking for price to get maybe closer to this level in here, and maybe towards that zone in there. But yeah, the lower time frame, I think something in here could originate a good reaction, and maybe even if it is just towards this level, can be good. If prices already starts moving towards in here and then go higher, then maybe just whatever zone it is. If we start breaking below this level and then go higher, then maybe we can have a trade towards something in here. Okay, but dollar franc Swiss, it's another one that is worth to keep an eye on in here. To look for, yeah, to look for something. Yeah, so again, how many days I've been being bullish? You can see many days in a row being bullish already. Again, you can see that it can maybe actually remain many days being bullish in here. But yeah, getting closer to this extreme, that can be an interesting level to look for. It's also kind of the monthly level in there. So yeah, that's one to keep an eye on as price keeps moving upwards a bit more closer to this level in here. Can be an interesting opportunity. Gold. All right, gold follow the engulf down. Something that we also mentioned. We're looking for price to continue to move down. There were 3 levels, one in here, another one maybe in there, and then the other one at the extreme in here. And price respected the first one. Again, another extreme. And it moved lower. Right now, it kind of reacted from this kind of round number to thousands. In the lower time frame, there's maybe something in here. A bigger picture, there's maybe a bit more room to the downside. But for now, kind of is bouncing back into here. Yeah, maybe somewhere in there can be an interesting zone. Maybe for price to fill it. It's a bit in the middle. This is actually the supply that was still French. This one in here basically has been already taken. So yeah, we'll see. It's in the middle now. So maybe our price may react from one of those levels. It's going to be interesting. In here on gold. Bigger picture, I do like where price reacted in here, so maybe a bit more bearish in here, and eventually I would like to see price actually filling maybe more of this range in there. But yeah, yeah, one thing at a time. So yeah, we'll see on gold. Maybe something from this around this level can be interesting if gold gets closer to there, and then depending on the PA when it gets there. Then we have oil. Oil just continues this range, right? So nothing really changed on oil. I keep respecting the extreme of the demands that are left behind, or supplies. Bigger picture, if this is by any chance any kind of accumulation before price exploding to one direction, that can be a massive then push to the upside. We're starting to challenge this trend line in here. Again, lower time, bigger picture, I do like where price reacted from here. So if this is about to happen, maybe that will be where my I put a higher odds for that to happen instead of going down. We do have now again this demand zone. There's maybe even something a little bit more below underneath that price could go to. Yeah, first and foremost, maybe reacting from this size can be also a good target. But yeah, who knows? Like again, the situation in the Middle East with the Red Sea and it's unpredictable. No one really knows for how long it's going to last and how it's going to end. So we'll see. Like, and if there's going to be an impact also eventually into the end consumer in terms of maybe increase of prices with inflation again resulting in something in here. So yeah, we'll see what may happen. Yeah, we'll see. Again, we had this example of price spending basically 2 months within this range. Now it's basically spending around the same amount of time around the same range. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen on oil from here. Yeah, and crypto. Does anyone trade crypto here? All right, crypto total market respected still the range in there, but Bitcoin actually managed to break the lows. I think it may open the door a little bit more to the downside in here. It may have respected that extreme in there, but it kind of broke this most recent one. So I would still look at it as an engulf down, and maybe somewhere in here can be a good level to look for continuation, or maybe somewhere in there can be also a zone to look for a continuation. I think we literally talked about that on the last stream. If there was anything in here that could hold Bitcoin to the upside, or can maybe a zone to look for longs at around 38 or something like that. So that's something that maybe you can watch. It was at the end of last stream, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, expecting more. I think I'm expecting more downside in here. Which makes it a bit similar on Ethereum. Kind of respected a bit of this previous support resistance, but maybe price could go a bit more towards that direction. There's maybe this level in here price could react from. Again, that was a good range when price turned in here, so that was definitely something interesting. Okay, so basically price, yeah, if I caught that level, respected straight away that level, eventually broke the lows and start moving lower. Yeah, maybe something in there can also be useful still. Then you have maybe the extreme of the extreme in there. Yeah, that's basically it. To see price does feel this a bit more closer to here. So and as well, kind of still looking for price to go more to the downside, okay, to fill this range. That's basically what I've been looking for the last few weeks. Since we had this break to the downside, I'm looking for to fill this this level close to 77. Price has been bouncing a few times from here. There's maybe again 2 other levels higher that I could see price still reacting from and moving lower. Meanwhile, as price keeps reacting or creating these levels in here, so this one kind of already reacted from that, and then you're looking for the next one somewhere maybe in here, and then maybe it's too much. Something here, something in there. This one already reacted, so we'll see. Yeah, but overall, I'm still looking for someone to go lower before resuming the move upwards, and maybe somewhere in here actually can be quite interesting to look for. I can below that, then it starts to show a lot of compression, which maybe takes us a bit more even farther down in there. But yeah, it's first things first. This previous level support resistance may be interesting in here. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll be looking more into that side. Ethereum, Bitcoin still on the same level that we're looking for, so it didn't really move this week. Still on the same level in there. Yeah, and that's it, guys. Ooh. Yeah, that's it, basically. Any questions, guys? Anything else that you want to look at? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next week, indices. Are they going to continue the rally, or the momentum of the rally? In fact, the momentum from yesterday, it was quite aggressive, which either just continues or it's a complete puke, and price actually just going to crash after that. It's going to be really interesting on Monday how price how price is going to open. The dollar needs direction, needs a bit more. Yeah, the dollar needs momentum. It doesn't really have any momentum at this point, and I'm curious to see how price may react around this range. Again, starting to create a little bit of a range in here, which can eventually be kind of work as a manipulation. Maybe break the walls a little bit first, then fake out, and then move down after that. It's a bit similar to dollar CAD, to be honest, in that sense. So that could happen in here, but this has kind of already broke that one. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. It's not as clear as I would like. Euro dollar, I see a bit more room to downside, so maybe this one can go higher. The N pairs are going to be definitely something to pay attention next week. I think there's going to be good opportunities in there to trade. Even if you're looking at Euro Yen, for example, may have the first momentum on Tuesday with the Bank of Japan, and then on Thursday it's going to have with the ECB. So Euro Yen can be one of those pairs to pay attention next week to try to trade and look for opportunities. It's getting closer to the highs, so we'll see how it's going to play out. Yeah, gold as well, to see if it's going to continue to move down after retracing higher first. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, it's basically it. Oil is still super indecisive until it breaks on one side or the other. And it may be a bit more confirmation. And crypto, maybe Bitcoin to continue to move slightly lower before moving higher. So I definitely want to go lower. And yeah, Ethereum more of the same as well. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. Next week, that's for sure. This is VIX, which continues to be at around this structure. Try to go slightly higher in there. It respected this structure, so doesn't really manage to break it. And these guys are actually getting closer to this, which is going to be interesting. So this is the first barrier. So this was kind of the first zone to this one to start moving lower. So we'll see. All right. Thank you again. Aussie dollar in Gulf the Woes. Daily scale on the Aussie. Second. October. Second, what's this question? Did Aussie engulf the low in October? You mean this low in here? If you are looking just at this one, it did engulf that. Actually, that was something that we were looking for before looking for longs. So price indeed fake out that low. Yeah. Actually, didn't really reacted as much into the demand zone as I wanted. It was a bit more in there, but it faked out this double low into here. So that happened, and that actually kind of exactly the trigger that you're looking for to look for longs, faking out these immediate lows and this double low in there. So that definitely was something that we were looking for. I don't really going to consider this is an engulf and expecting price to go 100% kind of lower than that. I would maybe consider price to go in the bigger picture more, maybe a bit lower, because we actually kind of broke that one, and I think I was more bearish here, but it's more because of the bigger picture. Because we actually broke below that, we went all the way up. Respect the extreme in here. This is beautiful. I did remember predicting this one. Yeah, this was beautiful. It's still our time highs since then. Incredible. I think I actually have a video explaining that one in 2021. Yeah, which we fake out that one. It's a perfect move. In there. It's amazing. And we did manage to break below that one, which takes us into this one. Yeah, maybe this is actually good enough. This is maybe good enough. For highs. Yeah, this was a good level, to be honest, in the lower time frame in this scale in there. Otherwise, bigger picture, we may get closer to something in here. Something in there can be interesting. This one maybe was already reacted from that one. Maybe something in here can still be fresh. Yeah, but you're looking at way too bigger picture in here. The price pause in there, this could be also a good zone to look for. Yeah, the question is good, right? To just find out if price is about to do something like this or not. And since price actually respected that level, yeah, maybe that could be one of the scenarios. Price maybe could just follow through. There may be something in here that can still hold price in there, or maybe even at the extreme of the extreme in here could also work nicely. Yeah, I'm not going to be making again such a higher time frame prediction, but I understand. I think you want to know if this is actually going to go down. Maybe then maybe we're about to maybe start something like this in here. Question. Yeah, target didn't reach. Yeah, it was literally just a small. You're welcome, Christian. It was literally just a small move in there. It's kind of, this is the range, to be honest. And then do I have 1 minute? I have 1 minute. It's amazing. 1 minute time frame. To be honest, I think maybe price actually reacted from here. The price reacted from there. That's kind of a good level. And maybe something in there, and then we have the extreme of the extreme. But if price actually reacted from this level, which would make totally sense, and then it may have reacted from a good level. Because in here, this is what we have, the double low. Look at that. That's actually where price reacted from. I know. 1 second. My bad. This is where it is. Here. Let's do it this one. Just the main rectangles now. Yeah. Can you see it? It reacted perfectly. Can you see this? It's actually where price reacted from. We have this structure. Price actually reacted perfectly from that demand zone that was still fresh on the 1 minute time frame. Takes us there. Yep, in here. Incredible. In there. These walls, they never touch it. Yeah. But bigger picture, it looks like that maybe there's a bit more room to downside. Maybe price could go slightly lower. We'll see. You'll see. It respected nicely the top, the highs in here. So eventually that could be nice as well. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so thank you. Thank you for the questions, man, for being here as well. Thank you. It was nice, good questions as well, good interaction. Christian, enjoy the weekend, man. And yeah, I'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you. I'm working on I'm creating kind of a trading journal, and actually, if you want to comment after the video, kind of what kind of metrics do you guys like to look at when analyzing your own performance? Yeah, feel free to share, just for me to take into consideration. What kind of metrics? First of all, if you journal, and if you should journal, and when you journal, what kind of metrics do you like to pay attention to in your trading? So yeah, feel free to share in the comments after the video. All right, so thank you, have a good one. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.